Some towns still outlaw whistling after 9 p.m. No joke. You could be walking your dog, humming a tune, and suddenly you're breaking the law. And that's not even the weirdest one. Wait until you hear about the law that literally bans dying in certain places. Yeah, the world is full of outdated laws. Rules that made sense like 100 years ago, back when people rode horses to court. But for some reason, nobody bothered to delete them. They're just sitting there, hidden in the dusty corners of the legal system, waiting for someone to accidentally get arrested for eating an ice cream cone in the wrong place. So today, we're diving deep into the most ridiculous, outdated laws that technically still exist, and could still get you fined, jailed, or at least questioned by a very confused cop. Here's the thing. Laws are like that old junk drawer in your kitchen. Nobody knows what's in there, nobody cleans it out, and somehow it keeps getting worse. So even though we've invented Wi-Fi, electric cars, and AI, we still have rules on the books that were written before electricity. And yeah, some of these are still technically enforceable. So let's take a trip through time and stupidity to find the most absurd laws that could still ruin your day in 2025. 1. Whistling after 9 p.m. Don't do it, buddy. Let's start with that classic. In some towns in Massachusetts, it's actually illegal to whistle after 9 p.m. The law was originally made to stop criminals from using coded whistles to communicate at night, which makes sense if it's 1894 and people are robbing trains with bandanas on their faces. But now, you're just trying to vibe to a song while taking your trash out, and technically, that's a crime. Imagine being in court like, "Yes, Your Honor, I was whistling the SpongeBob theme song," and the judge just sighs, "That'll be $50. 2. No ice cream in your back pocket, Kentucky and Georgia. Yep, this one's real. In parts of Kentucky and Georgia, it's illegal to carry ice cream in your back pocket. Apparently, this was made to stop horse thieves. See, back in the day, people would lure someone else's horse away by putting ice cream in their pocket. The horse would follow, and technically, you didn't steal it. The horse just wandered off, so lawmakers banned ice cream in pockets. Fast forward to today, and you've got some poor guy at Dairy Queen wondering why a cop's asking to see his back pockets. 3. No sleeping naked in Minnesota. Minnesota decided to make sure nobody sleeps unclothed. Because apparently, what if there's a fire? That's the logic. The idea was that firemen wouldn't have to deal with improper sights while rescuing people. So somewhere in Minnesota, there's a law that says, don't sleep in the nude. I'm not saying it's enforced, but imagine the paperwork if it was, "Ma'am, you're under arrest for excessive comfort." 4. Alabama's church law, don't fake a priest. In Alabama, pretending to be a priest or nun is illegal, not in a cosplay is weird kind of way. It's literally written as a crime punishable by jail. This was made to stop scam artists who dressed as clergy to get money from people. But still, imagine someone getting arrested for a Halloween costume. Cop: "Sir, are you aware you're dressed as a nun?" Guy: "Yeah, I'm going to a party." Cop: "Not anymore, you're going to jail." 5. The Don't Die Law, England and France. Here's one of my favorites. In a few small towns, like Le Lavandou, France, it's actually illegal to die within city limits. Why? Because the town didn't have space left in its cemetery, and they didn't want to deal with people being buried illegally. So they passed a law making it forbidden to die. Which, by the way, is the least enforceable rule ever written. Imagine the police report: subject refused to comply with the law against dying. 6. No fishing on a camel, Idaho. In Idaho, it's against the law to fish while sitting on a camel. You'd think that's a joke, but this is real legislation. Nobody's sure why it exists, but experts think it's a leftover from when exotic animal shows toured the US, and someone mixed circus rules with fishing laws. Either way, if you're in Idaho with a camel, keep that fishing rod away. 7. No chewing gum in Singapore. This one's actually enforced. Singapore banned chewing gum in 1992 after it started causing problems with subway doors and public messes. You could literally get fined hundreds of dollars for chewing gum. So if you ever visit Singapore, don't pop a piece of Trident after lunch unless you want to fund the government budget single-handedly. Fun fact, the only legal gum is medicinal gum. Nicotine gum? Fine. Bubble gum? Federal crime. 8. Alaska. No drunk moose. In Alaska, it's illegal to give alcohol to a moose. Apparently, people used to feed them beer for fun until one drunk moose destroyed someone's backyard. So now it's written down as law. That's how you know something stupid really happened. When the government has to make a rule for it. Somewhere in Alaska, there's a moose who just wants a beer after a long day, and the law says no 9. Don't tie a giraffe to a streetlight. Georgia, Atlanta. Georgia has a law that forbids tying your giraffe to a telephone pole or streetlight. It's almost poetic. Like the lawmakers were both tired and extremely specific. It came from early 1900s circus visits where animals would wander off and block traffic. Now imagine modern police enforcing it. Sir, is this your giraffe? Yeah, officer, just picking up a coffee. Sir, I'm gonna need you to move him. That's illegal. 10. Oklahoma. No eavesdropping on yourself. In Oklahoma, it's illegal to secretly record your own conversation. Yes, your own. Because technically, if someone else is part of it, you're wiretapping without consent. So if you record yourself arguing with your roommate, congratulations. You just committed a felony. It's like the law is saying, don't trust yourself either. 11. Arizona. No donkeys. Sleeping in bathtubs. This one is legendary. In 1924, a donkey in Arizona was sleeping in an old bathtub when a flood hit, and the donkey was washed away for miles. It took the town hours to rescue it, so the local council passed a law. No donkeys in bathtubs. And that's why, to this day, you could technically get in trouble for letting your donkey nap in a tub. 12. Kansas. No ice cream sundaes on Sunday. Some Kansas towns banned serving ice cream on Sundays, specifically Sundays, because of Sabbath violations. So, yeah, if you were craving a hot fudge sundae on a Sunday, that was literally sinful and illegal. These laws were part of what they called blue laws, rules designed to keep people from having too much fun on the Lord's Day. They banned dancing, shopping, even smiling in some places. Okay, maybe not smiling, but it wouldn't surprise me. 13. Vermont. Wives need permission for false teeth. Vermont once required women to get written permission from their husbands before getting false teeth. Yes, that was an actual law. Apparently, the logic was that dentures were expensive and husbands should approve large household expenses. If that doesn't scream outdated, I don't know what does. Imagine trying to explain that to a dentist today. Sorry, ma'am, you'll need your husband's signature to chew again. 14. Australia. No potatoes in bulk. In Western Australia, it's illegal to own more than 50 kilograms of potatoes. Why? The government created a potato marketing corporation in the 1940s to control potato trade. They took it very seriously. Even today, police technically have the right to inspect your vehicle if they suspect you're hoarding potatoes. Imagine that sting operation. Sir, step out of the car. We have reason to believe you're smuggling tubers. 15. Florida. No singing in swimsuits. Florida says you can't sing while wearing a swimsuit in public, no karaoke by the pool, no let it go on the beach. The origin? Nobody's quite sure. Probably some city official who hated beach concerts, but it's technically still a misdemeanor. So next time you're in Miami and someone busts out a guitar, just whisper, "You're breaking the law, dude." 16. Japan. No dancing. After midnight, until recently, Japan had a national law banning dancing after midnight until 2015. It dated back to post-World War II morality laws designed to shut down unsavory nightclubs. It wasn't until people started complaining about getting arrested for dancing that the law was finally changed. So, yeah, if you were in Japan before 2015 and wanted to bust a move at 12:01 a.m., you were technically a criminal 17. North Carolina, bingo time limit. In North Carolina, bingo games can't last more than 5 hours because apparently people were turning bingo into gambling marathons. So now, the state literally has a time limit on fun. If you're still playing after hour 6, the cops might just show up and yell, "Bingo, you're under arrest." 18. Italy. No sandcastles in certain beaches. Some Italian beach towns have banned building sandcastles because they block pathways. There are real fines, up to hundreds of euros. So if your kid builds a sandcastle masterpiece, congratulations. You just funded the local government's lunch break. 19. Scotland. Let strangers use your bathroom. In Scotland, it's still technically the law that if someone knocks on your door and asks to use your bathroom, you have to let them. It's based on ancient hospitality laws, so imagine being in your pajamas, hearing a knock, and some random tourist says, "Sorry, it's the law." That's the politest home invasion ever. 20. Texas. You need a permit to walk barefoot. Texas once had a rule that you needed a permit to walk barefoot in public. It came from early health codes, worried about sanitation and glass on the streets. Now, it's mostly ignored, but still exists. So technically, if you're walking barefoot in Austin right now, you're a rebel. Climax. Key moment. When you stack all these up, it sounds like society's been one long game of who messed up so bad we needed a law for this? And the answer is everyone, everywhere, at some point in history. Because every one of these ridiculous laws started with someone doing something so dumb, lawmakers had to step in. That's the real secret. Dumb people make laws last forever. It's wild to think that you could be living your normal, peaceful life, eating ice cream, whistling, maybe humming in a swimsuit. And, technically, you're a criminal in 3 states. The system doesn't care if it's 2025. It just cares that you broke a rule from 1912 that nobody bothered to delete. The truth is, most of these laws are never enforced. They just sit there, like fossils of old fears and forgotten problems. But they show how weirdly human the law can be. It's just people trying to control chaos, sometimes in the dumbest ways possible. And the next time someone says, "Don't break the law," just remember, somewhere out there, someone once did something so specific that a town had to write a rule against it. Watch the next video. It's even dumber.